guys, another month down. We are at the end of May almost, and hope you're all doing well. Hope your tan is coming along as nicely as mine is from working outside on my deck. Anyway, I wanted to take this time to talk to you guys about two different things. Number one is kind of what I'm seeing in the market and the questions that I think you're probably going to be asking. And then number two, we'll go to the actual data and the numbers that we've been able to collect since, throughout April in both San Francisco and Marin. So let's start with some of your pressing questions. Number one, are prices coming down in residential real estate in Marin and San Francisco? Here's what I can tell you. And again, we're starting with my feel, and after we go through my feel, I'm gonna give you the actual stats from April. My feel is that prices are only coming down ever so slightly. I would say the 2 million and under market is still super hot. And then kind of at the upper end is still just taking a little bit longer, but we've been feeling that since the fall. So I don't think that that's anything new. Rates are still incredibly low, which I think is helping with all of this. And I also think what's happening is that people are spending more time in their homes and realizing that the way that they're needing their home to work for them is different than under the pretenses of what they bought that home for, right? So we were not homeschooling when we bought our house. We were not both people working from home. We are demanding more from our homes. And so we are seeing a lot of people trading on their homes to get something that works for them today in these kind of new times. So we all heard, obviously, that Facebook said that within the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to permanently have 50% of their workforce working from home. Now, the only deal is you have to work within 4 hours of one of their major hubs. But what does that mean? Where does that mean people will go? It's an interesting thing to think about. Second question I've been getting a lot is, when will people start listing again? Obviously, we have a lack of inventory right now, and people are asking, when are people gonna start listing again? We are seeing a lot of things happening off market in Marin. Obviously in San Francisco, there's something called clear cooperation. So the kind of off market stuff has settled in San Francisco right now. But I think we will see more inventory coming when the full shelter in place has been lifted. I think that will give a lot of sellers confidence that enough buyers can get into their property. Not that I think that that's necessarily what you should be doing. I think that there are buyers out there, and if you have a good home, it will sell. So I personally have been putting properties on the market because there are buyers looking and there is not a lot of inventory. But I do think that other sellers will be putting things on the market once the full shelter in place is over. Other question, can you even buy a house during shelter in place? Yes, you can buy a house during shelter in place. In fact, I've closed about 5 deals in the time that shelter in place has been in. For a while, we were not allowed to show. Then some regulations were lifted and we were allowed to show by private appointments. You have to sign documents called PEADs in order to enter any property, wear masks, wear gloves, provide a pre-approval, just because no one wants to put anything at risk if it's not a serious buyer. And I will tell you, that's one of the things I'm actually quite liking about all of this, is that open houses a lot of times are a lot of neighbors, a lot of looky-loos, a lot of people that are unrepresented by good agents. And one of the things I appreciate about this time is every showing I'm doing is a pre-approved, pre-qualified buyer that is looking to buy a house. No one is out there looking right now unless they're serious. Who wants to risk that, right? Okay, so yes, you absolutely can buy a house during shelter in place under certain protocols, etc. But it's happening. And if you are looking to buy and you thought that you couldn't do that, it's time to get it moving. Last question I'm getting are there any delays with lenders or loans or any of that? I've heard other agents say that some of their deals have been tied up. Obviously, most of you know I work mostly with First Republic Bank and with Wells Fargo, and I have been so impressed with how quickly they're turning appraisals around, how low their rates are, and how they're closing loans even faster than they were before. So I'm not seeing any holdup from that at all. All right, here we go. Step 2, let's talk about the actual stats that we have from April of 2020. Okay, so you'll see I have 2 graphs down for you below in the newsletter. And the first one is for San Francisco market data. great resiliency in San Francisco throughout the shelter in place and everything we've seen with COVID-19 so far. What's interesting is that sales are down. We have about half as many active properties in April of 2020 that we did in 2019. But the super interesting thing is that the median price of all sales is up about 5% from last year. Kind of crazy, right? Single family homes, median price in 2019 was $1,612,000. 2020, median sales price $1,699,000. Average median price $984 in 2020 and $976 in 2019 for single family homes. Again, that's actual stats. What I'm feeling is it depends on the price point that you're at, how well that market is doing. And again, the higher price points, I am seeing a little bit more bouncy, whereas that 2 million and below is selling really well and still selling, within about 2 weeks. Okay, so then when we look at Marin, obviously we're talking about single family homes. And what we saw in the beginning of all of this was what looked like it was gonna be more of a buyer-friendly market. And I think that was very much the case for March and April. What's interesting is that the median price of sales has gone down about 2.5% from April of 2019 to April 2020 in the single family home market in Marin. But the price per square foot actually went up a couple bucks per square foot from 2019 to 2020, again, in the single family home market. You will see in two of the graphs below that we also had half the amount of sales this year than we did last year, which is completely understandable. But what I want you to take note of is the graph below that shows the price increase in some of the Marin neighborhoods. And what's interesting to me and something I'm really starting to see is as these indicators from companies like Facebook that say that more of their employees are gonna be able to work from home, is that people are starting to say, ooh, do I have to be so close to my main office? Do I have to be paying San Francisco prices? Maybe it would be nice to move to Marin, to get a little more elbow room, to pay a little less, have a little more room, be able to access the trails if this hits again in the winter. I think people are just starting to reevaluate the type of lifestyle that they want, as well as what's gonna work for their family. So again, we only have data from April. By the end of next month, I'll have the data from this month. But I think, fingers crossed, it has not been as turbulent as many people had predicted. But again, at this point, I think anyone that tells you that they know what's gonna happen in the market is, all we're doing right now is pontificating, and we have to play day by day and address your needs of what you need in your home. And, chin up, eyes up, and let's go forward. Thanks for reading and watching. Ciao.